Hey guys, welcome back to BMW Blog YouTube channel and welcome to Tokyo. We are here for the world premiere of the BMW X2. Of course, we've seen the car before. I was in Munich a few months back. I filmed the car ahead of the introduction, but now it's my second time with the BMW X2, so I decided to do a follow-up video and once again talk about some of the new things on the car. So let's start off maybe with this one. A lot of you have been asking, it's the car coming to the United States. The simple answer is no. There are multiple reasons, why it's not coming. I'm not going to get into all of them, but one of them is clearly because of the range. It's still a fairly small range compared to some competitors in the segment, so BMW probably decided to stick with this one in Europe only. So now let's talk about the design of the BMW X2 because that's been a little bit controversial. And maybe it's not because of the front end or the side view, it's really because of the rear end. But we will get to that in a second. So let's start off at the front end. Brand new design, as I said, and you can see right here, it comes with a brand new grille. Of course, it's closed off. This is an all-electric car, so it does not need all the cooling going inside. It's got an illuminated kidney right there. It is an option on the car, so if you do not want to have this illuminated section of it, you can completely ignore it. This one also comes with the M Sport package, and because of that, it does bring some additional aggressiveness and sportiness to the car. Of course, it does look a lot more dynamic than the standard X2 or iX2. So let's talk about that. You have this honeycomb kind of type of design on the air intake right there. You have this black piano painted parts with a split right there. So I'm assuming for aerodynamic purposes as well. Of course, the headlights have been changed quite a bit. So if you take a look at the car, you can see this new interpretation of the iconic BMW headlamps. But instead of the usual round bulbs right now, you have those two bars inside, and they do resemble what you've seen on the i5. Of course, you got some additional, cooling or airflow elements right there, something that you see on the M Sport package. If you look at the hood, of course, on this color, maybe you can see it really well. By the way, this is the fire red, but you have a couple of creases running across to connect to the kidney grille right there. And then you have this central crease that you've also seen on the i5. And basically the idea is really to help with aerodynamics and airflow, but it also gives this car a very focused look on the road, and it looks a lot more dynamic. So overall, these are really the major changes at the front end, and it's probably not the most controversial piece on the car. Now let's move to the side and take a look at the design view here, because it's changed quite a bit. So if you recall the F39 BMW X2, it's more of a hatchback. So you got that really stubby and short rear end. This one really looks more of a crossover, more of a coupe-ish SUV. Clearly, in many ways, it does resemble an X4 or a mini X6, and there is a reason for that, because I believe that in the future, the normal X4 might be ruled out, might be phased out. We might keep the electric one, and this one will take that spot in the lineup. You can see the coupe-ish line right there, goes all the way in the back, nicely tapered right there. Of course, it does take a little bit of the headroom compared to the X1, but I sampled this in Munich, and even at my height, 6'2", 1.9 meters tall, there was still about 3-4 inches, of headroom there, so it was quite good actually. You have these broad shoulders in the back. Of course, if you look at the car from the rear end, it's supposed to show the dynamics of the car and how wide it really looks. All right, so now if we talk about the Hofmeister King, of course, BMW decided to change it quite a bit. So it's not your traditional Hofmeister King. You do get that on the i5 and 5 Series, but not on the X2. Of course, that's another piece that people have been quite vocal about it. Big wheels on the car. Of course, it's always nice to see really massive wheels on any car because it makes the car look a lot sportier than it is. Flush door handles, of course, following the entire lineup of new BMW cars. No surprise there. And then you also have this very unique kind of sunroof or moonroof or panoramic roof, however you want to call it, because it's split in the middle. You have the steel in the back, and then you have this panoramic roof in the front, or half panoramic roof because it doesn't really open. Now let's go to the back, because this is where I said things are a little bit controversial. And first time that I saw the taillights, I was like, okay, what's going on? What's the reason here? Why are we getting kind of headlamps in the back? What's going on, BMW? So I asked them, I said, what's the reason why you're having these double headlamps in the back? And they said that they wanted the front end to kind of mimic the rear end when it comes to the lights. And they decided to go with this approach, kind of eliminate the entire L-shaped taillights that we've seen for many, many years, many, many decades maybe. And now you have this completely brand new taillight that does not look like anything else that's in a BMW lineup today. So once again, 2 lights in here with 2 bars inside, light bars, very, very unique. Of course, it sticks out quite a bit because it's meant to give some aggressiveness in the rear end. It's also got a very interesting shape because it's not a one-piece, it's a 2-piece element here. You got this coupe here, then you have another shape here. So very, very unique approach. And of course, this one has been the most controversial piece by far on the BMW X2 and iX2. So it's one of those things, you either love it or hate it. If you want something different, something quirky, something unique, then this car will deliver. If you want something very traditional BMW, then this car will not give you that. Of course, compared to the X2 M35i, which you might have seen earlier, it does not have the very aggressive spoiler on the trunk. It's still got a really nice shape here, but it doesn't have the scoop in the middle. And of course, it's supposed to help with downforce and also with the aerodynamics coming from the top. Another interesting thing in the back, it's the integration of the camera. So right now you have it integrated inside the spoiler. And of course you have a different diffuser on the iX2 compared to the regular X2, less aggressive, yet still quite sporty actually. Now let me open the trunk a little bit. I don't remember the specs exactly on the trunk, but I know that it's got a lot more space than on the outgoing X2 F39. And then compared to the other car, maybe you get a little less room in here because you have the battery pack. So on the X2 M35i or on the regular X2, you get some additional space there. You have the battery pack there, so clearly you only have this usable space. So it has a little bit less cargo room than on the regular X2. Other than that, as you can see, it's quite spacious. I'm not gonna try to get inside the car right now because it's gonna make me look bad, but you kind of get the idea. So we're gonna hurry up because I think they have to do something here. So I'm gonna show the interior quickly. So let's take a look at this. So essentially it's an X1, right? I mean, there are very few differences. Of course, the seats are a little bit different. You can see the dual tone, which looks quite cool. Steering wheel, exactly the same. Compared to the X2 M35i, it does not have the 12 o'clock marker there. It's still an M Sport steering wheel. iDrive 9 curved display, of course you expected that. And of course, probably the biggest change inside is really the omission of the iDrive knob, so it's gone. And also you can see that toggle shifter right there, replacing the traditional gear shifter. So really, it's really just an X1 inside with minor details. I believe the trim right here, it's a little bit different on the X2 with the stitching and all of that. But you wouldn't be able to tell which one is the X1 and which one is the X2 or the iX1 and iX2. And briefly in the back, let me show you the rear space as well. Right there, of course, as I said, I'm gonna hop inside just quickly before we head out, but maybe you can see here. So I'm not sure how adjusted to the right position the front seat is, but you have an idea. I'm quite tall. I still have a lot of space here, and I have, as I said, about 3 inches of headroom. So not too bad. Of course, it's a car for 2 people in the back. I wouldn't try to go 3, adults in the back. It might be quite tough. All right, so let me step out, kind of wrap it up. So once again, the car, it is not coming to the US. It's definitely going into different markets, including Europe. We'll have a chance to drive the car in the near future, and we will tell you how it compares to the iX1, because that'll be an interesting comparison. You have a traditional crossover iX1, and now you have this more, I would say, this sportier looking and sportier drive dynamics, hopefully from the iX2. So once again, live from the Tokyo Mobility Show, and stay tuned. We'll see you in the next one.